ESPN welcomes you to the following presentation of the Southeastern Conference.
And welcome everyone to ESPN College Football, presented by Geico on campus at the University of Florida here in Gainesville at the Swamp. As the Gators, the predacious Gators, close in on another SEC East title, but still an important step to take today under the cloudy skies here against Kentucky. And hello everybody, I'm Mark Jones, chopping it up with Chris Doring in for Dusty Dvorak. Quint Kesnick down on the sidelines. He'll be joining us in just a bit. Hey Chris, Florida with one of the most prolific teams, offenses in the entire school history, gets one of the human mismatches in all of college football back today. Things really looking up for them.
Yeah, you're right. The offense has been rolling here, and that's what the Florida fans have wanted. That's why Dan Mullen was brought back here. This is probably the best offense they've had since he was the offensive coordinator under Urban Meyer. And you mentioned it, Kyle Pitts comes back today. But what an embarrassment of riches they have around Kyle Trask. It's a pick-your-poison situation for SEC defense.
Guy that's almost uncoverable in the secondary. Hey, Quint, Kentucky dealing with a lot of COVID issues with impactful players, too.
The Wildcats a bit shorthanded today. Minus 16 players off their roster, unavailable. Most profound on offense, though. They're going to be playing this game without three starters. A guard, their best running back, Chris Rodriguez, and a tight end. But Mark Stoops won't back down. And this game, Mark Jones, has brought out the best in Kentucky in recent years.
Yeah, it sure has. A couple of years ago here in Gainesville, Kentucky, if you remember, ended a 31-year losing streak to the Gators, hoping that history will be poised and ready to repeat itself here today. Florida winning the toss, deferring the second half. Kentucky will receive the opening kick, and we are underway here in Gainesville. It'll come out first down and 10 from their own 25-yard line. That's where starting quarterback Terry Wilson will take the reins of this Kentucky offense. Wilson, a 6'3 senior from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, completing 63% of his passes on the season. There's a look at his numbers last year against Florida. 2 years ago, when he didn't look so much like Terry Wilson. He looked a little bit like Russell Wilson. 11 of 16, 3 touchdowns in that upset win. From the 25, handed off to the tailback. That's A.J. Rose picking up about a yard on the play. Wilson at his best when he's making quick, decisive decisions. He's 15-7 as a starter. Runs the ball pretty well. And remember, Chris, during last week in their loss against Alabama, they actually looked good in the opening drive.
Yeah, you're seeing some of what they did last week with some early down motions and shifts, trying to create some confusion with that Florida defense, which they struggled with last week against Vanderbilt.
Second down and 9. Handoff, it's Rose up the middle, still on his feet. A.J. Rose out near midfield as they cash that front. Steiner making the tackle.
And that's going to be one of the most important things for Florida today, being on the same page where their run fits are. Leaving gaps like that is going to be something that Kentucky will be able to take advantage of on the ground, much like they did early in the game against Alabama last week.
Nice run by Rose, the 6'1 senior out of Cleveland, Ohio. A lot of moving parts. Wilson keeps it himself, has his tight end Keaton Upshaw blocking in front of him, and picks up about 6 yards on the play. We're going to see a lot of eye candy, right, from Kentucky offensively?
A lot of eye candy before the snap, even eye candy afterwards in terms of all the misdirection that they utilize. Florida's got to be very disciplined with their eyes today and make sure that they're not getting tricked by all the movement and misdirection.
Second down and 4. Upshaw, the tight ends, sets to the left of Wilson. Rose in the backfield. Wilson checks down, completes the pass, and another first down to their leading receiver, Josh Ali, out of Hollywood, Florida. And they move the chains, Chris.
Mark, you're exactly right about what you said earlier. The quick passing game is going to be the key to this Kentucky offense today. They're not great throwing the football down the field, but here they do a nice job on the simple shallow cross, getting the ball to their best receiver, Josh Ali, and allowing him to make plays after the catch.
Wilson trying to do what he did a couple of years ago in that upset win here against the Gators. Off to a good start here, 3 plays into the opening drive. From the Florida 38. They fake the jet sweep. And a 3-yard gain on the play to Cavassier Smoke. The 5'9" sophomore who last year against the Gators had a pretty productive game on the ground, just under 100 yards rushing.
Kentucky's blessed. They have 3 really good running backs. Unfortunately today, Chris Rodriguez is out again for the 2nd straight week in a row. But Cavassier Smoke and A.J. Rose are very capable in his absence.
From the 35, 2nd down and 7. Epps in motion. He sets to the top of your screen. They're going to run it again. And Smoke picks up about 4 yards. So 3rd down and about 3 or 4 coming up. The tackle made by Davis. What do you like here for Kentucky in terms of play selection?
Well, I think you still do the same things, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this as a 4-down situation in this part of the field. You know offensively you're going to have to match Florida's offense with touchdowns. So settling for field goals was not a good idea last week against Alabama, and I'm not so sure it would be today. So in this one, you're looking for just a positive play, maybe get to the outside and put a little pressure on that Florida defense is contained.
Got a trips formation to the top of the screen. They're going to hand it off, run it, nowhere to go that time. As Smoke is brought down right at the line of scrimmage. And it's 4th down and 3. Diabate making the tackle for Florida.
And Mark, with the struggles that the special teams for Kentucky had last week, 2 early opportunities to score field goals down in the red zone, had some issues with the snap-hold combination. Today, I think you're going to see them, as I said, be aggressive in trying to put points on the board in this part of the field.
Smoke in the backfield. Wilson passing complete, wide open for the 1st down. Upshaw, and Upshaw makes it down to the 20-yard line. A nice conversion on 4th down, and a poised-looking quarterback, Terry Wilson.
Yeah, they've gotten him in a rhythm so far. You see Kentucky going from the bunch set here. Florida having a hard time getting lined up with their assignments. That's too easy, and that's something Florida's had a hard time with. Look at 2 guys not on the same page, not understanding what their assignments are, leaving a receiver wide open in the flat. It's just unacceptable.
Offensive coordinator Eddie Gran has to feel good about this opening drive so far. 1st and 10, Wilson under duress and sacked back at the 30-yard line by Cox. Brenton Cox Jr. with the 1st sack.
Here's your best pass rusher for Florida's defense, former Georgia Bulldog transfer, taking advantage of this opportunity. Look at the hands. Swipes away at Darian Kennard. This is a guy at right tackle that didn't give up a sack at all the whole entire last year. So nice play by Cox, dipping and using his hands to get free.
And a loss of 10, pushing them back to the 30-yard line. 2nd down and 20 for Kentucky. Running the play clock down. They're going to be very deliberate like they were a week ago against Alabama. Wilson chucking it downfield and overshoots his intended receiver. That was Rose coming out of the backfield. It'll be 3rd down and long, 20 to go.
And Jonesy, we talked earlier about how limited this Kentucky offense is in terms of explosive plays. The worst thing that could have happened is the early sequence there of negative plays, setting them behind the chains. Now, difficult to pick up 3rd and 20 for any team, but even more important for Kentucky. The thing I will say, though, if Florida decides to play man coverage and they bring pressure, watch Terry Wilson's ability to elude in the pocket and scramble for the 1st down.
Florida defense has come under criticism of late. Wilson sacked all the way back at the 42-yard line. They brought some pressure that time. Diabate was one of the first ones to get there along with Zachary Carter.
Yeah, pressure from the left here. And Florida does a nice job with Diabate looping underneath a little game from the left side. And I thought they did a great job of being disciplined in their rush lanes. Again, you have to be aware of the athletic ability of Terry Wilson, and you got to contain, put that box around, and that time they closed in from the outside and just suffocated the quarterback.
It's got to make head coach Dan Mullen feel good. His defense coming up with 2 big negative plays. From a head coach that told us on our meeting earlier this week that he felt like they took a little bit of a step backwards on the punt. A line drive fielded at the 8 by Kadarius Toney. That's a pretty good catch there, partner.
Ill-advised, but a good catch.
Yeah, he's back. And he might look like Santa Claus. He'll be handing out a lot of gifts to Gator fans today. That's his plan anyway.
The Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
Folks, you're watching the SEC on ESPN. Under a brilliant sky, radiant sky here in Gainesville, Florida, one of the jewels of the great state of Florida. Zeros on the scoreboard, 1st and 10 for the Gators. First time they're touching the football. Pierce runs it for a couple of yards. A year ago in this game, Felipe Franks, the starting quarterback for the Gators, injured on that play. Kyle Trask took off the headset, came into the game, and folks, they put some respect on his name. From that moment forward, he has been QB number 1. Nobody has thrown more touchdowns in college football this year than number 11 for the Gators. Back to sling it again and incomplete on 2nd down. It's now 3rd down and 7. Here's a look at his numbers last year against Kentucky.
And Mark, you think I think that stands out to me that's most amazing is this is a guy that had been around forever, hadn't started a game since his freshman year of high school, decided to stay at Florida, could have transferred as a grad transfer elsewhere to get a chance to play, but had faith that his opportunity was going to come, and when it did, he hasn't looked back. He was really well prepared, and the offense had a lot of rhythm that night.
Stuck with his plan, 3rd down and 7. See what the plan is here for Florida. Trask completes the pass, but short of the 1st down. That was Toney. And it's 4th down and about 2 to go. Good tackle by Corker.
Yeah, great job by Corker, who's one of the leaders on this defense. Try to get a little jerk route there to Kadarius Toney, one of the most dangerous guys with the ball in his hands. That's a solid tackle coming up, making a play short of the line to gain.
Okay, so a quick 3 and out for the Kentucky defense. Josh Ali back to receive this punt, standing at his own 32-yard line for the Wildcats. Jacob Finn averaging about 44 yards, and they fake it, and they're going to pick up a 1st down. Pierce still on his feet. Dan Mullen caught the Wildcat defense hitting the snooze bar and converts the 1st down. Courageous call to start this game.
Courageous call is right. How about that? In the shadow of your own goalpost. Little fake punt. Pierce, running back, obviously comfortable with his ball in his hands, but you're right. Kentucky was napping. They had no idea that that was coming in that situation. Great job of executing a brilliant call.
Well, so much for that 3 and out, Chris. 1st down and 10 for the Gators. They have the ball back, and this is going to be Malik Davis. Davis picks up a few yards on the play. 6:30 to go here in the opening quarter.
Mark, I talked about Kentucky's running backs. Florida has a talented group as well. We've seen Pierce carry the ball in the fake punt there. Malik Davis has had a couple injuries the last couple seasons that have kept him from reaching his potential. But watch number 6 as well. Naquan Wright has emerged this season as well in the backfield.
He's got 151 yards on the ground coming into the game. Over the middle, complete. There he is, Pitts. Room service. Welcome back, Kyle Pitts. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Kyle Pitts with another touchdown, his 9th receiving touchdown of the season. And the meter is still running, folks. So the Gators able to capitalize on the fake punt and get it into the end zone. 56 yards in all. His 9th of the season, 15th of his career.
Didn't take long,
he's
right?
Impactful.
He is impactful. He got the matchup they wanted, one-on-one coverage. You can't leave that guy open. That's a mismatch there with Kelvin Joseph, a corner in terms of size, and Trask found his guy 84 for the touch.
Oh, we flexed on him. Back with more right after this.
Let me run it up. Still won't let me inside Canada. Wave runners on the
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance. And in part by Cars.com. Everybody can score this weekend. Find your perfect car match online.
Kyle Pitts scoring a touchdown a moment ago, capping a 6-play, 83-yard scoring drive, eclipsing a little over 2 minutes on the clock after that fake punt. And the Gators looking to improve to 7-1 on the season. And there is a possibility today that Florida could clinch the SEC East. Chris, what was the key moment here on this last touchdown?
It's Trask finding the rotation of the coverage. Look at Yusuf Corker, the safety. He's going to run back to the middle of the field. That means it's one-on-one coverage with Kelvin Joseph. And Joseph is going to widen. So that allows Pitts to have the inside leverage. Watch him put his foot in the ground, sell him a little outside, and cross him over. Great throw, great awareness of what the defense is doing for Kyle Trask, finding that one-on-one that favors his guys.
And he saw Pitts take it to the crib there. A guy that during the initial shelter at home period spent a lot of time in Atlanta working on his body. This is Smoke. Picks up about 7 yards. Matt Berry, I need to work on my body too. Back to you.
No, man, you've got it. You're good to go, Jonesy. Time now for your Rocket Mortgage studio update. Checking in on Penn State, Michigan. Larry Roundtree. That is Kevon Lee, 6-yard touchdown. And then Missouri, Larry Roundtree, the third, takes it in for Missouri, up 7-0 on the Bears.
Second possession of the ball game. Wilson hands it off and nowhere to go for Cavassier Smoke, who's topped by Houston. James Houston, the 6'1", 240-pound weak side linebacker out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'll tell you what, Cavassier Smoke is on my first team all college football, all name.
There's no question. Between him and Auburn safety Smoke Monday, two pretty good names here in the league.
And LSU has a commit called, his name is the coldest to ever do it. I mean,
that takes the cake right there. Mic drop.
I can't wait to see him play. 3rd down and 2. Cavassier Smoke is going to get close. He got a pretty good spot, tackled again by Houston, and they're going to come up, it looks like, Chris, about half a yard short. They're not in a favorable part of the field to go for it on 4th down. But
that's a nice job by Smoke, though. Houston comes up in the hole, meets him at the line of scrimmage, and Smoke's able to drag him for about 2 yards, getting him very close to that line to gain. Needed to get across the 35-yard line. I think he's just short. It's a great spot, but really nice effort there by Cavassier Smoke.
Well, they're going to go for it, and Wilson keeps it himself and gets the 1st down.
So that tells you, Jonesy, what their mindset is today, right?
Yeah.
Even backed up here inside their own 40-yard line, they understand the importance of, one, keeping possession, trying to keep Florida's offense off the field, but the need to convert, keep drives alive, and ultimately score points. Because whether you give Florida a short field or you give them a long field, they have the ability to score and score quickly.
1st down and 10 from the 37-yard line.
And here's Florida having a hard time, again, getting lined up here. Late in the down sequence.
Wilson's going to keep it himself, and a nice gain of about 7 yards. Yeah, Dan Mullen told us on our conference call earlier this week that he felt his team took a little bit of a step backwards, and I think a lot of that might have been pointed towards, or at least some of the perceived criticism towards the defense, even though they defeated Vandy by 21 points.
This is a defense that had been really good after the return of Kyrie Campbell on that defensive line. They'd improved their 3rd down rate getting off the field, but against Vanderbilt they took a step backwards, and I thought a lot of it had to do with them not being on the same page in terms of communication.
2nd and 3, Wilson fakes the toss, keeps it himself, and it's going to set down a 3rd down and short. Tackle on the play made by Tardell Slayton. So Kentucky being very methodical.
Yep.
3rd down and 1, 2.5 minutes to go in the 1st quarter.
Yeah, let's keep our eye on Terry Wilson, his ability to put pressure on a defense, whether it's RPO stuff, whether it's quarterback draw, definitely does a great job of being able to find the holes. So maybe you just let him get the football in his hand and be an athlete in this situation.
Wilson going to hand it off, nowhere to go. Boy, what a surge from the left side of that defensive front, led by Slayton again.
Yeah, you called his name. This is what Florida did not have early in the season. They lacked the penetration, they lacked the push up front defensively that we've come to know from Florida's defense and expect from Todd Grantham. With the return of Kyrie Cleveland, that's helped TJ Slayton, that's helped Zachary Carter, that's helped this entire defense. That time doing a nice job of getting that penetration to disrupt the run before it could get going.
So Max Duffy going to get an appearance here. The punter, the reigning Ray Guy Award winner, missed last week's game against Alabama with a high end-over-end punt that comes down at the 17-yard line to Tony. It'll be 1st down and 10 from there, where Kyle Trask will take the reins of the Gators offense when we come back. Potent pass and catch duos in all college football. Kyle Trask to Kyle Pitts. Through 7 games, almost 3,000 yards passing for Trask, and for Pitts, 8 receiving touchdowns. That's the most single-season touchdown receptions by a tight end in school history. When you think about some of the great ones that have played here, that really speaks volumes of their prolific nature here this year. And into the eyes of number 84, and right on time for a penalty.
I think you jinxed him.
Number 84 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Dude is a unicorn.
He is a unicorn. He can do it all. I think, Jonesy, the thing that's been impressive to me as you see him flinch a little bit, trying to hold his one. Yeah, that's one where he's anticipating the ball coming his way. You want to get off quickly from the line of scrimmage. But the thing I think's impressed me the most is how much he's improved as an end-of-the-line blocker this year. Really helped that Florida run game.
Got that added strength. 1st down and 15. Trask back to pass. Out of the backfield, complete to Pierce, and Pierce is going to be stopped up. His forward progress about the 15-yard line. Watson making the tackle on the play. Let's look at Kyle Pitts. Had the touchdown reception a moment ago. Some very big-time numbers, and think about his strength. You talked about his blocking, Chris Doring. He used to do 315 bench press as his max. He now can do 6 or 7 reps of that. A real testament to his increased strength, which probably helps his blocking a little bit. Out of bounds.
Definitely has helped his blocking. I mean, this guy has come along in terms of his receiving game, his strength. And how about that? That looks like some old school Saved by the Bell looking stuff there, Mark.
Hey, you're going way back. That's some 90s stuff, right?
Solid 90s, yeah, probably late 80s, early 90s,
okay.
Right?
Don't put me in that demographic yet. Got that little Soul Glow look with the afro. 3rd down and 12.
It's a timeless look, man. Come on.
Yes. We're going to blow this one dead. Dan Mullen's hot.
The play is under further review. The ruling on the field was the pass was incomplete.
So Rogers Redding, our rules analyst, they're debating as to whether this was a complete pass or not. And that has Dan Mullen hot. What are your thoughts on this as we take a look, Rogers?
He's right near the sideline, and the issue is whether he actually got a foot down and can maintain control of the ball before he went out of bounds. And from that angle, it looks like he is okay. In other words, he's got a foot in bounds, and he lands the other foot out of bounds. But I think they're going to either confirm or let this stand.
I'm not sure he secured it, though.
It looked like it.
Well, now that look, you're right. He hadn't secured it at that look. So
did he bobble or did he have it with his one hand?
I think he bobbled it. You can see space between. Let it run on through. You can see space between the two hands. So that's going to be an incomplete pass.
Review. The ruling on the field is confirmed incomplete.
Good call.
There it is. So Ball still at the 14-yard line. Kyle Pitts actually wanted to play last week in that game against Vanderbilt. He was injured in that Georgia game 3 weeks ago.
He's seen all the success with his backups there with Gamble and Zipperer making plays. You don't want to get Wally Pitts, man. Got to get back in that lineup.
3rd down and 12. Trask complete. That's going to be Wells with the first down. You know, back to that last comment you made, it was interesting to hear Dan Mullen this week say, yeah, you know, Kyle Pitts is going to have to work hard to get some playing time with those other guys that have been playing well in his absence.
You know, I like there, Jonesy, is Trask drops back, big zone that Kentucky's defense falls into. He makes a quick decision, gets the football out of his hands, and lets the receiver Wells make the yardage to gain after the catch.
1st down and 10. They're going to run it this time. Between the tackles, that's Naquan Wright. Yeah, I don't know if I believe Coach Mullen, man.
I don't think I believe him either, but it is amazing how deep the talent is at wide receiver, at tight end, at running back here on the Florida roster.
I don't think Kyle Pitts was worried about trying to get some reps at tight end. Like, Coach, you remember me, right? I've only been gone for 2 weeks. You remember me. I know the Wildcat defense remembers him. I don't think they ever forgot him. Be flexing on them again if they do. End of the first quarter, 15 minutes in the books. Back to Gainesville right after this. Welcome back to ESPN College Football presented by Geico as we continue our Dr. Pepper's Championship Drive game of the week. 7-0, the Gators leading the Wildcats. Florida looking to improve to 6-1. A win here today coupled with the South Carolina win against Georgia. They would clinch the East. And Chris, I'm a big drumstick guy. I don't know about you.
It's a little messy for me.
5 yards to go and catch by Shorter. Fumbled, the ball came out, and Kentucky recovers the fumble. So the first turnover of the game. The ball coming loose, and the Wildcats have it.
Mark, you talked about how does Kentucky stay in this ball game? It stays in the ball game by creating turnovers. Kentucky's defense is second in the conference in creating turnovers with 13 before that one. Big hit, forces the football out. Now Kentucky's in a short field situation. How does Florida's defense react in this sudden change situation?
So a great break for the Wildcats, who struggled on offense in the last several games. There's a look at the turnover. What do you think? Does Kentucky take a shot here?
I don't know that they take a shot because that's not really what they do. But I think right now the key thing is staying ahead of the chains. Make your 3 or 4 yards here. Get to third manageable. See if you can't break one with the athleticism of your quarterback, Terry Wilson.
From the 38-yard line. Best starting field position of the afternoon for the Wildcats. Wilson pulls it out, completes the pass to his tight end, Keaton Upshaw. And they move the chains, a gain of about 13 yards. Steiner making the stop.
Yeah, this is one of the comfort zones for Terry Wilson on the RPO. Look at the Florida defense get sucked up with the handoff fake to A.J. Rose. An easy throw over the middle of the field to his big tight end, Keaton Upshaw, who's really emerged. I think he's improved a lot since the beginning of the season.
He talked about remembering this appearance in Gainesville a couple of years ago. Said, I remembered and I learned that I got to make big plays. And the ones that don't happen, got to be able to move on from it. And they're going to run it here on first down. This is Rose again. Rose with a nice gain, tackled by Burney.
Mark, you make a great point, too, because a lot of these guys were on the team in 2018. They remember coming into the Swamp. They remember breaking that 31-game winning streak that Florida had. And they come in here, even though a big underdog today, they remember the taste in their mouth when they walked out of the Swamp victorious. So I got to imagine they have a little more confidence than most teams coming into the situation would.
2nd down and 4 for Kentucky. Wilson hands it off again. Tough running by Rose, but stopped about a yard shy of the first down. Good tackle by Burney.
Kentucky struggled on third downs today, 0 of 4 in their first 2 possessions, but they've been able to leave themselves in manageable situations. Twice today they've gone for it on 4th down. Twice they've been able to convert. Obviously, you're in 4-down territory here with a quick snap.
And Wilson's going to pick up the first down. Interesting to see Rose come off the field. There's a flag on the field. Let's see what this flag is about. But you saw Rose, he was limping after that previous play. And he's gone to the sidelines. Remember, they're already short at that position.
Offside on the defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Result down.
First down Wildcats. Remember, Christopher Rodriguez already out. Rose a little nicked up on that previous play.
I love what Kentucky did right there. They got to the line of scrimmage in a hurry, caught Florida off guard, were able to draw them off sides. But I think they would have had the first down anywhere there. But that's a great job of getting on the same page and getting to the line of scrimmage and running the play.
This is the deepest Kentucky has been in Florida territory all game. Wilson running it down to 11. They hand it off. And Rose, Smoke, down to about the 3-yard line. Good spin move by Cavassier Smoke, the sophomore. Ventrell Miller making the tackle for the Gators. Kentucky, 2nd down to go. Smoke already with 23 yards rushing.
You can tell what the game plan was coming in, Mark. They ran the ball 15 times on their 18 plays in the first quarter. Feel really confident about that offensive line's ability to move the defensive front off the line of scrimmage.
They're spreading out that Florida defense. 3 receivers out to the top of your screen. And nowhere to go. Campbell making the tackle on Smoke.
Yeah, we talked about his return to the lineup. Missed the first 3 games of the season, but Kyrie Campbell has really been the catalyst for the improvement of Florida's defense, taking up space on the inside. Last week, 9 tackles against Vanderbilt, led the team in Nashville last week.
Todd Grantham telling us that his presence makes them just physically bigger and better up front. 3rd and 3. Smoke to the left of Wilson. Play clock at 12. They got a tall receiver, Daly, number 89, split to the top of your screen. Play clock all the way down to 4. And now Wilson is going to call a timeout. Eddie Gran is going to think this next one over, going to try and find the right button to press. Kentucky threatening when we come back to Gainesville. Hey, this season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate. Back here at the game, 2nd quarter, 11:23 to go in the first half. Kentucky threatening 3rd down and 3. They have yet to convert on 3rd down today. Daly in motion. Wilson into the end zone. Touchdown, Upshaw. What a grab in traffic. And the Wildcats a point away from tying it up.
Mark, the one thing you can't do is coach length. That's your 6'6" tight end there, being able to go up and get the football in one-on-one coverage. There he is lined up on the right side at the wing position. Hard play fake, draws up the defense. Just takes a split second of the defense getting their eyes caught in the backfield to gain a step. Nice throw by Terry Wilson, putting it up high where his guy could go get the football.
Yeah, great touch by Wilson, his 7th touchdown pass of the season. And for Upshaw, that was his 3rd touchdown catch of the year, 4th of his career. And the Wildcats got it all started with that turnover. This big hit. They pounced on the loose ball. And then a moment ago, you saw Keaton Upshaw in the end zone. You could almost hear him saying, hey, over here, I got a little one. Tied at 7 when we come back.
ESPN College Football presented by Geico is brought to you by DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. And Duluth Trading Company, tough, ingenious workwear designed and tested by tradesmen.
11:18 to go in the first half, and we are knotted at 7 apiece between Kentucky and Florida. Here is Tony back for this kickoff. Keaton Upshaw with the touchdown catch before we went to our commercial break. And Tony watches it go over his head into the end zone. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 25 as we go back to the studio.
All right, guys, have an LL Bean studio update for you. Checking in on the Big 12. If Oklahoma State were to lose to Texas Tech, Iowa State would be in the Big 12 championship game today. That is Sir Roderick Thompson, 59-yard score. Desmond Jackson of the Pokes bring it right back. We are tied at 7 apiece. Texas Tech and Oklahoma State.
All right, on this, the last Saturday in November. They say that you remember November. Team's trying to peak at just the right time. Trask out of the shotgun under a little bit of heat. Lets go of it and finds Tony open for the first down. Remember now that the 5 of the last 6 times these two teams have hooked up, the game has been in question in the fourth quarter. In the last 3 meetings, they've been particularly close. Back in 2017, it was 28-27. Then 2 years ago, it was the upset by Kentucky here. Trask on the toss to the wide side of the field. This is Malik Davis. And he's going to be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. You know, talking about Kyle Trask, and it was in this game last year he made his appearance and subsequent emergence. Chris, he was the 2,123rd rated player in high school.
Yeah.
So you can keep your rankings, right?
Yeah, believe me, I speak from experience with that, and certainly has been a pleasure watching him get his chance and take advantage of that opportunity.
Hands it off this play to Malik Davis. Yeah, his only other offer besides Florida was Dallas Baptist, a Division II school in Texas. And if you can name the conference, dinner's on me.
No chance. I have no idea. You know it?
No, I don't.
I was going to say.
I have to look it up.
You're asking me a question without even knowing the
I
answer.
cheated. I thought maybe you could help me. What a great story Trask has been since that time last year up until now. Maybe the front runner to win the Heisman Trophy. 3rd down and 6 for the Gators. Trask out of the pocket. Incomplete over the head of his running back, Davis. And they'll have to punt.
Malik Davis has been really solid for Florida in the passing game. Had a big game against Georgia a couple weeks ago. This time, nice job on the switch release. That's a ball he's got to catch, maybe a little high, but he's shown the capability in hands to be able to make that catch and extend a drive. Florida has not been very sharp today offensively. Had the big play early with Pitts, but since that time, just haven't seemed to be able to get into that rhythm that we've known this offense to be.
Meanwhile, that's Josh Ali standing inside his own 10-yard line, a high end-over-end punt. Ali calls for the fair catch at the 6-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 from there. Well, tonight LSU freshman quarterback T.J. Finley leads the Tigers into College Station, taking on Kellen Mond, number 5 Texas A&M. The Aggies at 7 Eastern, 6 Central on ESPN, as well as the ESPN app. Remember last year in Baton Rouge, Mond threw for only 92 yards, was picked off 3 times. The Tigers won at 50-7. There's a look at the respective remaining schedules. Any thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I think A&M has rounded into one of the most complete teams in the country. We saw them play really well at home against Florida. They've developed a running physical mentality. Spiller and Smith have been able to take some of that pressure off Mond, and that offense has really started clicking over the last month and a half.
Yeah, they've been particularly balanced. Jimbo Fisher finding his way and his team, and it's arguably the most talented squad he's had in a short time.
It is. Heading into the 3rd year, the schedule got more manageable. That was before the pandemic struck, and everybody thought this was the year they were going to take that step forward. Then all of a sudden you add Tennessee and Florida from the East, and your schedule looks that much more difficult, particularly because you have to play Alabama and Florida in the first 3 weeks of the season. They were able to split those games, and they've been really hot ever since.
Lavassier smoke Out to the 20-yard line, moves the chains. Very impressive run, the sophomore. Eddie Grant, the offensive coordinator, has had a daunting challenge this year with some of the issues that they've had to deal with, not only as a team, but as an offense. One of them losing their offensive line coach, the much-loved John Schlarman, who's gone home to be with the Lord. He passed away the result of cancer. Austin Dotson wearing number 65 to honor his memory today in a nice run by Ali.
And to your point, Mark, this has been an offensive line that I thought heading into the season had a chance to be one of the best in the conference. Didn't play great early in the season. The offense as a whole didn't play great, but I feel like they've come along. They're obviously playing with a lot of motivation at this point in time. And you can see today, they've run 26 plays, 21 of them have been rushing plays. So they feel like this is the strength of their offense, and they believe in their ability to get Florida's defensive line pushed off the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 1. We'll keep an eye on the production and the efficiency of that offensive line today. They create a nice hole for Rose, who bursts out to the 40-yard line. This was the scene a couple of weeks ago. The offensive line paying tribute to John Schlarman, who passed away November the 14th after a 2-year battle with cancer. They left a space open for him. And today, Austin Dotson right there wearing number 65 in tribute to the departed offensive line coach.
2 different jerseys being worn, yeah. 65 for Schlarman, 22 for their former teammate Chris Oates, still a teammate.
Between the tackles, good surge by that offensive line. Hey, 2 years ago when Kentucky came in here and upset Florida, John Schlarman was awarded the game ball by the players and the coaching staff, and it was a very poignant, very emotional moment inside that victorious Kentucky locker room. A guy that was beloved by everyone from the players to the parking lot attendants in Lexington.
What made it even more special was that this guy played at Kentucky. He was blue through, bleeds the Kentucky blue, enjoyed coaching these guys and really represented the university well.
Wilson keeps it, and he's pushed out of bounds right near that 1st down marker by Elam. And we talk about the huge void in the wake that Coach Schlarman left. It has been a tricky bit of business to coach that offense.
Yeah.
Eddie Grant has been kind of wearing a couple of different hats.
He has, and Schlarman and Grant were right there, 1-2 punch in terms of developing the game plans from week to week. So now Eddie Grant's having to shoulder that as well. They brought Jeff Jagodzinski in to help coach the offensive line in the middle of the season, former Boston College coach.
Wilson pulls it out, little contact downfield and a flag thrown as DeMarcus Harris was there to try and catch the pass, but was interfered with. Yeah, that was Elam that had a handful of jerseys.
Number 5, the ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, automatic 1st down.
Yeah, Elam was holding him like a grudge that time. Obvious flag.
That was straight assault right there, man.
5:50 to go in the 1st half, and Kentucky moving the ball into Florida's side of midfield. Smoke in the backfield. Josh Ali has a nice wave of blockers in front of him and picks up about 15 yards. Steiner making the tackle. They move the chains again.
Yeah, that's a great job of a little misdirection, creating a little seam in the defense. Look at expanding the edge. Josh Ali finding ways to get him the football. He's probably the most dangerous wide receiver. You saw him do that quite a bit last week against Alabama. Early in the game, had a big play on a jet sweep, that time taking the handoff up right around left edge. I love the play calling so far here, Mark. It really has been an emphasis on letting the offensive line get a push up front and then mixing in a pass here and there.
They got the Gators spread out on 1st and 10 and nowhere to go. Smoke stopped up right at the line of scrimmage at the 25-yard line by Gervin Dexter, the true freshman from Lake Wales, Florida. It'll be 2nd down and 10 to go. Under 5 minutes to go in the first half.
How about Dexter? 6'6", 308 pounds. This guy was playing high school football last year. One of the crown jewels of Florida's recruiting class from this past offseason. Really has come in and played a lot of snaps for a defensive line that was a little thin heading into the season.
Dan Mullen has had some very good recruiting classes. 2nd down and 10. Wilson out of the backfield, complete. Ali going to get back to the line of scrimmage. Elam making yet another tackle, so 3rd and long coming up for the Wildcats, keeping Kyle Trask off the field. A little over 4 minutes to go here in the first half, tied at 7. He's already thrown a touchdown pass today, just one though. 3rd and 9. Upshaw now sets to the right of Wilson. Wilson steps up in the pocket, takes off, still on his feet. Wilson on the move. One guy to beat and pushed out of bounds at the 7-yard line. 1st and goal for the Wildcats.
Mark, this is what I told you about earlier. This is where he's the most dangerous, right? It's a called pass play, but he sees the pressure off the edge, puts his foot in the ground, sees a little daylight, and then you see the athleticism and speed. Difficult for Florida as they're in man coverage. So many guys with their eyes, with their backs to the quarterback. Once he broke through the initial line of scrimmage, it's free running for Wilson, able to pick up the 1st down.
JUCO product, finding his footing there. First and goal for the Wildcats. Hand it off down to the 5-yard line. That's A.J. Rose. You talked about the play calling. The fact that they don't have a guy that can really pop the top of the defense hasn't hurt them yet, right?
Not yet, and you would think that Florida would be aware of their inability to throw the ball down the field, that they may try to stop the run by stacking numbers in the box. But right now, again, credit to Kentucky and their ability to get some push up front and allow those running backs to have a seam to hit.
A little short-handed on that offensive line, but those guys playing well up front. 2nd and goal. They fake the jet sweep. Wilson pulls it out into the end zone and throws it away. So 3rd and goal. Good pressure by Diabate on Wilson. What do you like coming up for the Wildcats here in terms of play selection?
Again, I think it's about getting the ball in your quarterback's hands outside of the pocket. I like some sort of sprint out, some sort of potential rub play. Offensively, we call it a rub instead of a pick, but some way you can try to create a little pressure on the defense by getting Terry Wilson outside of the pocket.
Old receivers call it a rub play. I get it. 3rd and goal. Wilson surveys. And incomplete. 4th and goal. And a flag down at about the 11-yard line. Let's see what this is about first.
Holding on the offense, number 67. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Boy, Todd Grantham and Dan Mullen having some impassioned conversation there.
Looks like he might be suggesting a few play calls potentially on defense that he'd like to see.
That's what my household looks like.
Is that you're Grantham though, right? Yeah. Your wife is Dan Mullen.
Hey,
wow.
Quinn, what do you
I'm
see
about 10 yards away from that outburst. That does remind you sometimes of a Thanksgiving dinner, but the call earlier, the man coverage really had Coach angry when Terry Wilson scrambled against the man coverage.
So a little chip shot here coming up. And he knocks it through. What that really was, I'll take you back, was Mark Jones yelling at his older brother Paul Jones when Paul took the last drumstick for Thanksgiving. That's what that was about. Back after this. Hey, Tuesday night at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN and the app. Catch the exclusive reveal of the College Football Playoff Top 25 rankings. Reese and the guys breaking it right down for you, top to bottom, as well as a live interview with Committee Chairman Gary Barta, the Iowa Athletic Director, as we take a look at the Wendy's Weekend Wake-Up Breakfast. Say that fast 10 times. Which of those things on the menu jumps off the page at your partner?
Well, obviously the Iron Bowl is one that has a lot of history, a lot of hate there. That's one I'm keeping my eye on. But Texas A&M, that's a low-key good game against an improving LSU team that T.J. Finley has looked good last week in that game against Arkansas.
Alabama without Nick Saban today on the sidelines. We're going to take a quick timeout and come right back after this.
We have history in the SEC, highlights of Vanderbilt, Missouri, plus Oklahoma State still playing for a spot in the Big 12 championship game, and Penn State, Michigan. Not what it's been in the past, but still a good football game. Jesse Palmer and Joey Galloway join me coming up on the Lexus Halftime Report.
All right, Matt, back here. It's first down and 10 for the Gators. 2:13 to go in the first half, and surprise, Kentucky leading by a field goal. Kyle Trask hits his back and completes the pass to Naquan Wright, picking up a few yards. Kentucky has yet to defeat a top 6 ranked Florida. 0-15 all time and a losing margin of 32 points. Trying to flip that script here today. Right again out of the backfield, picks up the first down, pushed out of bounds at about the 40-yard line.
Kentucky just dropping back into a big zone right now, willing to give Florida everything they want underneath, trying to use as much time as possible. But I like what Trask has done so far and just taking what the defense has given him. That's one thing I think he's done really well this year. Hasn't forced the football into situations when it hasn't presented itself with a good opportunity.
Here he is out of the backfield, complete. Once again, it's Wright, and Wright about a yard shy of the first down. It's interesting, I thought Dan Mullen's comments about Trask being a quote-unquote game manager were enlightening, because he said that a lot of people think that it's a negative term, but when you manage the game correctly, take what the defense is offering you, you're doing a great job.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do, right? I mean, you're supposed to be the guy that orchestrates the offense, delivers the football to the playmakers, understands what the defense is trying to do with you, and go where the defense is not. And I think that term originated in Alabama. Remember early on with guys like Greg McElroy and A.J. McCarron, and they viewed that as a negative, when in fact that was nothing more than a guy doing exactly what he's been tasked to do as the quarterback in that offense.
Amen. Quentin Bohanna, the injured Kentucky player on the field. And coming up tomorrow on NFL Sunday Countdown, a one-on-one with Kyler Murray, Phillip Rivers, plus Peyton Manning gets a beast mode lesson from Marshawn Lynch. That should be fun. Kick off your week 12 with Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN.
Did you see Marshawn Lynch passing out turkeys in Hawaii?
Great.
Good dude, right?
Great philanthropy. Does a lot of wonderful things in the Bay Area as well.
Good to see Bohanna get up. This is the guy that got injured in the Georgia game a couple weeks back. Big in this defense, you know, prototypical nose, does a great job of holding the point. So hopefully for Kentucky's defense, he's able to get back in there really soon, because that's a big hole to fill in the front of that defense.
Speaking of one of the variables in Kentucky's defense, number 4 right there, Josh Paschal. One of the inspirational leaders. Have not called his name much here today, but that Wildcat defense holding this prolific Florida offense to just 7 points with under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Trask. And wisely throws it away.
I think that's where Trask is actually improved. Sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but last year he didn't necessarily have the feel for when that clock goes off in your head, when you got to get rid of the football. Sack too often, strip sacks way more than what you can allow offensively. This year I think he's done a better job of feeling that rush, feeling when time's expiring, and that time throwing the football away, coming back to live for second down. 2nd and 10, little receiver screen on the edge. Pass complete. That's Grimes. I haven't said his name much here this afternoon. He's one of the better receivers
in that troika of Florida receivers that have 6 or more touchdown catches on the year. Here's the call.
Personal foul, face mask, number 72 on the offense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, second down.
Well, you couldn't blame Dan Mullen for being a little bit irate at the moment.
Yeah, he thought his team took a step backwards last week against Vanderbilt. I don't know that they've done anything differently than what they did last week.
Yeah.
Take a look. Little tunnel screen out to the left. Stone Forsythe, the tackle out in space. Tries to stay engaged and grabs a handful of that face mask. That's an easy call right there, out the middle of open space. Now you're looking at 2nd and 25.
All the way back at the 36-yard line for the Gators. Right out of the backfield. Check that. And he's pushed out of bounds at the 41 by Joseph. Remember, we were talking about it a moment ago prior to kick, Chris, that this is a matchup between the top passing offense and the top passing defense in the SEC. And you'd have to say so far that Kentucky's won it.
Kentucky has won it, but it's also been with the help of their offense. Possessing the football as long as they have, it's kept the ball out of Florida's offense's hands, which is playing great defense for them as well.
Little pressure off the corner. Pass complete. Naquan Wright getting a lot of touches and targets here on this drive out near midfield. With 1:20 to go. And Kentucky's going to burn one of its 2 remaining timeouts. They've got 1 remaining. Florida with a full complement of 3. Well, we are in the last Saturday of November. And time to take a little inventory as we take a look at this week's college football playoff rankings brought to you by Allstate. Anything of note there that
I know
interests you?
I know there's some pregame talk about where the Bearcats were ranked here.
Hey, we've seen a lot of Cincinnati this year. You think they have a shot of crashing the college football playoff party?
I don't know without some help. I think, unfortunately, it's a difficult year for them to try to get in the mix. I wish more than ever it was an 8-game, even if it was just for 1 year. Yeah. Expand the playoffs to 8 games. We haven't had a chance to play much out-of-conference competition. So I'd love to see Cincinnati have a chance to get in there. BYU, I know their schedule hadn't been as difficult, but they've been a fun team to watch this year as well.
Some great points. Finn into punt. Remember, they faked one already today on their first possession.
I'll give you $100 if they fake this one right here.
Hit me on the Cash App, buddy. 4th and 11. That was Pierce, number 27, that ran for the first down. Not this time. They punted away. And he hits the coffin corner with lethal precision out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Wow, what a punt by Jacob Finn. You couldn't have dropped that any better with a 9-iron.
How about the way they hold the ball these days? All the different kicks that these punters have in their repertoire. That time got the perfect angle, perfect bounce. A nice job by Grimes there, being ready to cover the football if it had bounced back to him.
99 yards away. 1st down and 10 for the Wildcats, leading by 3.
Florida's got 3 timeouts here. So Kentucky can't just go into a shell at this point in time. They need to pick up a 1st down, try to run this first half out. They've done everything they wanted to do here in the first 30 minutes.
Wilson hands it off to his tailback, A.J. Rose. Remember, Kentucky comes into this ball game down 16 players and a few staff members, shorthanded. This is a team that is going through a lot of adversity right now, but right now leading this football game is, we'll be back in 10 seconds. You know, it was interesting speaking with quarterback Terry Wilson this week with all of the COVID cases they've had with Kentucky, 16 players last week, about the same number this week. I said, what's the toughest part of navigating just getting to the field on Saturday? He said, you know, we're tested 3 times a week, got the protocols, and they're very tedious, Mr. Jones. He says, and all you want to do is play football. So really, for Coach Stoops' team just to make it here, this game could have been called.
How about the flexibility you have to show. Last week they lose Jamin Davis on Friday before they're about to get on the plane to Tuscaloosa. They lose Justin Rigg, one of their tight ends.
Right now trying to author another upset like they did back in 2018. That's Rose picking up about 4 yards. It'll be 3rd down coming up with 1:01 to go.
That's something Eddie Graham wanted to do last week. Utilize a little 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. But when you lose Justin Rigg, now all of a sudden you have to change your game plan completely. That was a large chunk of what they were planning to do last week against Alabama.
Talked about the emotional strain and losing Coach Schlarman and going through COVID protocols and losing players and just making it here to Gainesville. When we spoke to Coach Stoops earlier in the week, you would not blame him if he said, you know what, my team's not in a fantastic position to play here. I would rather not, but he's that Youngstown, Ohio guy. You know, he likes to fight and get out there and battle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's a competitor. He's brought that out of his teams. This is one of the most physical teams in the SEC on both lines of scrimmage. That's not something you could always say about Kentucky. So it speaks to what he's done in terms of creating culture there in Lexington.
He's really done a great job there. 4 consecutive winning seasons, and they're going to end up short on this 3rd down attempt, and A.J. Rose is holding his right leg. Sets up an interesting scenario here for Florida with 56 seconds to go. Rose, though, remember, they're already without Rodriguez, who's arguably their best tailback. And now Rose, immediately after that play, was holding his right leg. They've got Cavassier Smoke, who's already run for close to 30 yards in this football game. But, boy, this is a team that has been unyielding and unrelenting in its will. And now they're dealing with perhaps another injury.
Yeah, this is a team that has been running on fumes after all they've been through in terms of losing Chris Oates early in the offseason with his medical issue that's kept him out, what they're dealing with the passing of John Schlarman, their offensive line coach. Bunch of guys out last week and again this week. They continue to get that energy level up. They continue to show up, and I think that's the thing that's most impressive to me. I wouldn't have expected anything else from a Mark Stoops coach team either.
So Rose is helped off the field with 56 seconds to go here in the first half. His right ankle apparently rolled up on as he goes down to the ground right there. Yeah. Miller falling on it.
Jonesy, you talked a little bit about the running backs already down. Chris Rodriguez, maybe their best back. That injury to A.J. Rose. I look forward to seeing Jaton McClain. He's a freshman, and the coaches have talked an awful lot about his ability, what he brings. So I wonder if just by pure thin numbers, we'll get a chance to see the freshman in the second half.
Max Duffy into punt. End over end punt. Tony on the other side of the field. Great okey-doke, and they score the touchdown. Gotcha. Kadarius Toney took advantage of the misdirection in punt coverage.
That was a great job on the punt return, but the real win came on the punt. The fin punt that downed the ball inside the 1 yard line. The defense gets the stop, forces the punt here before halftime. And Kadarius Toney's one of the most dangerous weapons in the entire country. So much fun to watch with the football in his hands. And look what they did. They sucked the entire team over here to the right, acting like the ball was coming down to the split returner to the right side. We'll take another look at it here in a second, but great job of acting by Florida's punt return team.
Yeah, that was Marco Wilson who faked the fair catch like he was going to catch it, and it drew some of the defenders that way, Chris.
Yeah, the entire coverage team. In fact, it's a tough spot to be in covering punts because you don't necessarily know where the ball's coming down. You're reacting to the body language of the Florida returners. And look at the white jerseys. Only a couple players realized the ball was going to the right side of the field. You just can't give that much space to a guy that's as dangerous as Kadarius Toney is in the open field.
Boy, you talk about some misdirection. Lethal misdirection.
Yeah, Bembry was the only cover guy for Kentucky that actually knew where the football was going. Marco Wilson on the right side of the field acting like he's got a sense of urgency to get the football.
Look at all the white jerseys around him. He drew a lot of traffic.
And that's not something that you'll necessarily see in the stat sheet, but well-designed play by Florida special teams and selling that in terms of the coverage unit too, making it look like they were all going back to set up the wall to the left side of the field.
Boy, how much steam does that take out of Kentucky to play as well as they have here in the first half and potentially going into the locker room down by 4 points?
It's a huge kick in the teeth, right? You've done everything you wanted to do offensively. You've limited the defense or the offense for Florida. You've possessed the football, and right before halftime, you give up a special teams touchdown, which is a huge momentum killer.
Well, still very much in this football game, down by 4 points. And as you mentioned, Chris, the touchdown, the good field position set up by that coffin corner punt by Jacob Finn previous to that punt return. First down and 10 from the 25-yard line for Kentucky. 3-5 on the season, coming off a loss last week against Alabama. A win today for Florida, coupled with a Georgia loss against South Carolina. And Florida would clinch the SEC East. Smoke is brought down with a gain of about 1 on the play. When we asked Dan Mullen about the importance of this game, he said it's everything. They're a good team, Kentucky. They're a good pass defensive team, and we got to put it all on the line with being just 2 wins from an SEC championship game appearance.
Yeah, and Dan Mullen's talked a lot about the fact that they control their own fate at this point in time. They got over the Georgia hump, but if you let down and lose to any of these teams down the stretch, all of your goals are gone at that point.
Well, that's the first half in the books. 30 minutes. Altra's team up 14-10. But still plenty of football to go. Remember, they've been in question going into the fourth quarter in the last 3 years. Right now we send it to Matt, Jesse, and Joey in the studio. Guys.
Jonesy, thank you. It is Matt, Jesse.
By Lexus. Experience amazing.
All right, so Jesse, the line in this game was Florida minus 24. Do the Gators cover?
Not the way their defense is playing. They got to get the ball back.
Back to the swamp, Em.
Football game coming off of an SEC soccer championship. That's a pretty good few weeks for Sarah Fuller and Vanderbilt. Mark Jones, Chris Doring, Quint Kesnick down in the field joining us in just a moment. Start of the third quarter, Florida's going to get the football. If you're Kentucky, what are you looking to get accomplished here in the early part of the third quarter?
Do exactly what you just did. Run the football, possess the ball, and keep Florida's offense off the field. They let one special team mistake set them back after all the progress they made in the first half.
Kentucky trying to duplicate the upset of Florida from a couple of years ago. 2018, they came in here and ended a 31-year losing streak. Let's check out today's Liv Moss moment, brought to you by Taco Bell. And some key ones late in the first half.
Yeah, let's not forget about the punt by Finn. Great job of kicking to the coffin corner, gets the roll, ball goes out of bounds inside the 1 yard line. Florida's defense stops. And then how about the acting job of the Florida return team? Draws 5 Kentucky cover players to the left side. Xavier Henderson acts like he's going to catch the ball. Meanwhile, only 2 Kentucky cover guys recognize that it's actually Kadarius Toney on the right side of the field with the football in his hands, and he makes guys miss like it's his job.
Over the middle, pass complete. Toney with the catch as we go down to Quint.
I was standing behind the punter, Max Duffy, and as soon as he hit that ball off his foot, you could tell he was upset with himself. Well, I come to find out from head coach Mark Stoops that punt was supposed to be kicked to the left, and that's why all the Wildcats pursued down the left hash. Toney all by himself, right hash, game changer, huge play, just poor communication. The punter kicked it the wrong direction, and Duffy's one of the best in the nation, Mark.
Yeah, great guy award winner, the reigning Great guy to award champ, and a pass complete to the sideline to Trevon Grimes, who came back to Gainesville this year for his senior season to, in his own words, finish business with my brothers.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the size of Kyle Pitts at 6'6", but how about Trevon Grimes, 6'5", Justin Shorter, 6'5". It's tough enough to cover all these weapons, but just physically, defenses don't have the size to match up.
2nd down and 1. Trask under center.
Double pass.
Looking downfield. Tony with it. Throws it. Completes it to Pitts. Little schoolyard time, folks. They get the first down. Agin with the tackle.
Yeah, it comes in handy when you have a guy like Kadarius Toney that played quarterback in high school, that has the ability to throw the football. You trust him not to make a bad decision. His first option wasn't there. Comes back to Kyle Pitts in the flat. Pitts able to make a guy miss, and now all of a sudden you got a little rhythm offensively, which you didn't have in the first half much.
Kyle Pitts, a pretty good plan B. 1st down and 10 from the 42. They fake the jet sweep. Trask going to be sacked, and a flag. Those hands coming up a little bit high by Weaver. He might have gotten a little bit of face mask on this. What do you think here, Rogers Redding, our rules analyst?
If he grabs and twists that face mask or any helmet opening like that, Mark, that's a foul.
Here's the call.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense, number 13. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic 1st down.
Sometimes they grab something besides the face mask. Any helmet opening is the rule, so that's a good call.
It's too bad, too, because J.J. Weaver's getting his first start today. Coach Stoops talked about him earning that opportunity. He's got some length, the guy that's really good off the edge. That time you saw his ability, just got the hands up too high into Trask's face, and now instead of a big sack, you got Florida inside the 30-yard line.
Down to the 27, Trask hands it off to Pierce, and Pierce is going to be stopped up right near the line of scrimmage by Cordell Looney. It'll be 2nd down and long, and another flag on the field. Kentucky missing a couple of guys on defense as well this week. 16 players in all.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense, number 59. Penalty is half the distance to the goal from the end of the run, automatic 1st down.
Wow, back-to-back face mask penalties. They got to give up more real estate.
Yeah, just let the hand slide up there a little bit. Difficult in the heat of the tackle there. But you're right, man, just 2 face mask penalties in a row have allowed. Florida doesn't need much help offensively, but penalties here that we didn't see from Kentucky's defense in the first half definitely benefited Florida at this point.
Real quickly, it's inside the 15-yard line. Pitts split to the bottom of your screen, number 84. Trask looks that way, up for Pitts, jump ball, and incomplete, but a flag. He is working against Kelvin Joseph.
That's what Florida likes to do, get the 6'6" Pitts outside.
Pass interference on the defense, number 1. Foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. 1st down.
He's a physical mismatch. Kelvin Joseph, 6'1", got some length for a corner, but just can't match up with the size of Kyle Pitts. You're either going to be able to catch the football, get a pass interference, or the ball's going to fall incomplete. That's a play that they go to in this part of the field quite a bit with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, 6'1", you said it. Joseph is 6'1". That's not small by any standard for a corner, but against Pitts, unfortunately for them, it is.
Again, they got him matched up to the left, 1-on-1.
1st and goal. Trask, Pitts, touchdown, the remix. And he rocked the baby to sleep.
That's a lonely island to be on. You're Brandon Eccles out there. You just saw Pitts try to go to the fade. This time he sells the fade, comes back underneath. A nice job by Kyle Trask of throwing the straight ball out in front of his receiver for the touchdown.
Pitts with those sure hands and looked at Eccles and said, yeah, it's bedtime, singing you a lullaby. His second touchdown reception of the ball game, and Florida increasing its lead. And for Trask, his 33rd touchdown pass of the season, more than anybody in college football. Kyle Pitts making a propitious reemergence to the field this week.
To the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
Welcome back, everyone, to ESPN College Football, presented by Geico. You're watching the SEC on ESPN as the sun piercing the clouds here in Gainesville, Florida. Pitts with a touchdown catch a moment ago, his second of the day. Johnson on the kickoff return for Kentucky, and a flag thrown at the 17-yard line. We've seen a litany of flags during that last Florida drive, and here on the kickoff again.
Yeah, all against Kentucky. Been killers for Kentucky out of the break.
That last touchdown, key one.
Holding on the receiving team, number 40. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
What was the key on this last touchdown?
Well, the key is you got 6'6", 250-pound Kyle Pitts up top at one-on-one. They move Kadarius Toney across the formation. That draws the attention of the safety Tyrell Asian. And the little play fake sucks everybody else. But if you're Eccles, you're thinking, I got to cover this 6'6" guy to the fade. I got to cover him to the slant. It's an impossible situation. Easy throw for Kyle Trask. And you mentioned it, partner. Pitts' hands. I mean, this guy catches the football like a wide receiver. You're able to use him so many different ways in this offense, and certainly has benefited Florida having his presence back today.
First down and 10 for the Wildcats. Run by Rose. Meanwhile, Kyle Trask continues to ascend the record books respectively. Colt Brennan and he now tied through the first 8 games with 33 touchdown passes, and DJ Simons, erstwhile of Texas Tech, out there at 36 back in 2003.
The amazing thing about what Kyle Trask has done, it's been against all SEC competition. It hasn't been against Group of 5 teams. It hasn't been against FCS teams. He's put up numbers against the best athletes in the country.
Second down and 8. And nowhere to go that time for A.J. Rose. Brought down for a loss of about 1 on the play. Good surge up front by those Gators.
I guarantee you there was a lot talked about in the locker room about stopping the run. Kentucky had their way in the first half, ran for over 175 yards. That time, Florida's able to get some penetration and stop Rose before he's able to get any momentum downhill.
Third down and long. This is the situation that Kentucky does not want to be in, especially with a lack of that dynamic playmaker downfield. Wilson takes out his do-it-yourself kit and couldn't do it all. Gains 1.
Trying to direct traffic down the field. Looks like he may have had a receiver open for a second there after the scramble drill kicked in. Just too many yards to try to pick up in that situation. Nice job by Florida's defense of keeping eyes on the quarterback and keeping everything in front.
Diabate made the stop for the Gators defensively. Let's see what happens on this punt. Remember, the last time that Max Duffy punted, as Quint reported a moment ago, he punted it right when it was supposed to go left.
Similar part of the field as well.
Tony back near midfield and a flag thrown.
Delay of game on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Fourth down.
And Kentucky leaking oil here, man.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they played so well in the first half, did everything they needed to do, and now have come out of the locker room. 4 penalties here in the first 4.5 minutes of the second half, setting themselves up, backed up against their own goalposts. It's not an ideal situation, obviously, for Max Duffy to be punting from. Florida's offense looks to have good field position after the punt.
Takes a few steps and line drives it And they're going to get a good bounce out of it as well. Kentucky sending it out to the 34-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 from there for the Gators. Fans, don't forget to check out the Target Command Center broadcast of this game on ESPN3, as well as the ESPN app. What happens on the Target Command Center? Is that where they got the spy cam on us in the booth and they show us eating sandwiches?
I was going to say, I'm just over here trying to eat my granola bar, low key.
A lot of things offered on that ESPN. Oh, see, there it is. Always watching, man. You got to be careful. ESPN3, Target Center cameras. Mark Jones alongside Chris Doring in for Dusty Dvorak, and Quinn Kesenick down on the field. 21-10, Florida with the lead. Trask out of the shotgun again. Plenty of time. Taking a shot downfield, and the catch made at the other end, the 24-yard line to Copeland. First down, Florida.
You know, we've been giving a lot of credit to Kyle Trask. This was an ill-advised throw, but the thing you see from Trask is a tremendous trust in his wide receivers. I talked earlier about the length that they have, tremendous athleticism, going up and getting the football against the safety trying to come over the top. I don't know if I would have necessarily have advised throwing the football there, but Copeland made it look good.
Trask back to pass again. Checks down with it to his tailback, Pierce. Oh, he hit the defender with the two-piece. Wow. He took Robinson's ankles on this move.
Look at that. Ah! Whew.
Here's what it looked like in real time.
Good job of taking the check down. Let those talented receivers and backs make plays after the catch. You don't have to do everything yourself as a quarterback in this offense.
Pierce again runs it this time. Just short, I think, of the first down. Josh Paschal making the tackle up front for Kentucky. So it'll be 3rd down and short for the Gators.
Excuse me, Mark. If you're Kentucky, this feels very reminiscent of last week against Alabama. Early you had some success with your game plan. You're moving the football. You're holding Alabama out of the end zone. And eventually you just lost momentum. And the game kind of got away from you. Kentucky's got to force a field goal here in this situation to stay in striking distance because they're not a team that can score in bunches like some of the other SEC offenses.
There's Kentucky's defensive coordinator, Brad White, who told me earlier this week that somebody on his defense has to wear the hat on every down. Great view from up top. And they're going to measure, and that much short. So third down coming up for Florida.
Mark, you mentioned earlier about Josh Paschal, what a leader he is. He stood up in the meeting room after the game. He talked to the press about their performance last week being unacceptable for where this Kentucky program is right now. 63-3, even against the best in the country, is not acceptable. And I think that speaks to how far this program has come under Mark Stoops. It's tremendous the amount of progress they've been able to make over the last few seasons.
4 consecutive bowl games. Only Bear Bryant has won more games at Kentucky, and that's going to be offsides against the Wildcats. Marquand McCall a little premature.
Offside on the defense. Defensive lineman made contact with the center. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
And he's walking the green mile to the sidelines.
Yeah, it's not acceptable when the ball's lined up right over your head. Can't get deked. I guess you're close enough to see the ball, but you're close enough also to hear the inflection of the quarterback's voice. Draws him off sides. Again, free yardage that Kentucky's giving up to Florida's offense. They don't need the help, as we talked about earlier, but so far been very generous, very giving here in the last couple days of November.
1st and goal. This is Pierce. Great move again, and all the way down to the 3-yard line. Just inside the 3. It'll be 2nd down and goal. Davis pushing him out of bounds. Florida with so many different variables they can use to hurt you offensively in the red zone.
It's the tough thing. Every week you turn on the TV, you're seeing 9, 10 different receivers for Florida catching footballs. Against Georgia, it was the running backs against the linebackers. Last week, it's the receivers making plays. Now today, Kyle Pitts, Gamble, Zipper at the tight end spot. I mean, it's just amazing how many different guys get utilized in this Florida offensive scheme.
On 2nd and goal, low snap. Trask going to be sacked, swallowed, engulfed back at the 12-yard line. It'll be 3rd and goal for the Gators. So a win on that play at least for the Wildcats defense, led by Jordan Wright.
Yeah, huge negative play for Kentucky's defense, something they definitely needed in that spot. And let's not forget about the coverage aspect of it. Looks like they're trying to get the ball out here on a little fake screen and hit the slant on the inside, but pressure up front disrupted the timing of the play. Nice job by Kentucky's defensive front for snuffing that play out before it could get going.
From the 11-yard line. 3 receivers out to the top of the screen. Pierce in the backfield. Pitt split to the bottom of your screen.
Delay of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty.
Are these guys not seeing the play clock? I mean, what,
That's
second or third time we've seen that today?
And, Dan Mullen a little incensed on the sidelines. 7:10 to go in the 3rd quarter. Play clock, there it is. And amongst the almost 19,000 fans they're expected to have here today. 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, 3rd and goal. They come out again and trips left. Trask out of the pocket, had his arm hit as he threw it, went to Pierce.
That was
a very
not the
favorable
receiver.
It counts as a completion, but Pascal was there to put the hit.
Yeah, look at Josh Pascal coming from the backside. Gets his hand enough in there to disrupt the flight of the football, but big stop for Kentucky. We talked about how important it was for them to force a field goal now. To get off the field with potentially 3 points is a win for Kentucky at this point.
Evan McPherson is 9 of 10 on the season. Has a long of 55. This one from 34 yards out. And he knocks it through, increasing the lead to a couple of touchdowns. With just under 6 minutes to go here in Gainesville. We'll be right back after this.
ESPN College Football, presented by Geico, is brought to you by NBA 2K21. Everything is game. And Duluth Trading Company. Tough, ingenious workwear designed and tested by tradesmen.
Florida football luminaries immortalized outside Florida Field here. 3 Heisman Trophy winners and perhaps number 4 on the way. Tebow, Spurrier, Werfel, who said recently it's a little lonely on the end. I'd love to have a new buddy on my left. Cade Trask and I.
No pressure. Which makes it even crazier to think about those 3 names, what they've done in Florida football history at the quarterback position, and to even further put the pressure on a quarterback. Florida struggled maybe since Tebow left in 2009.
Kyle Trask wasn't even a starter in high school or when he first got to Florida. And look what he's doing now. And speaking of Heisman trophies and Heisman Trophy winners, Joe Burrow's last year's winner. Look at how Trask stacks up after 7 games.
Yeah,
right there.
A lot of similarities in terms of getting their feet wet, their junior seasons, coming back their senior seasons, making the advancement in terms of their understanding of their role in the offense. I think one of the comparisons we don't talk about enough, though, is Kyle Trask's feet. Joe Burrow was tremendous with his feet, moving in the pocket, letting receivers uncover. I think the Trask does a nice job of knowing where the rush is coming from and just sliding enough to get guys open.
That pass by Wilson incomplete. And by the way, speaking of Joe Burrow, we want to wish him a full recovery, a speedy recovery coming back from an ACL and an MCL tear. He was in his rookie season and
having a good
to find his
start
way
to his NFL career. Yeah. It was a fun team to watch last year. Wasn't it LSU on that 15-0 run, doing things offensively that we hadn't seen LSU doing ever before?
2nd down and 10. Wilson keeps it. Might have gotten a yard on the play. Cox Jr. making the stop.
And this is where Kentucky has to fight the temptation of trying to get it all back too soon. I thought last week against Alabama, they got away from the game plan that gave them success early on.
Right.
Now, continuing here, you're down 2 touchdowns. You don't want to try to force things. You got to be able to stay within what you're able to do. But 3rd and 9, certainly not ideal for this Kentucky offense that is very limited on the outside.
Yeah, this is about when Wilson threw that pick 6
Yeah.
Jordan Battle from Alabama. Jordan Battle, one of the top safeties in the SEC. 3rd and 9. Wilson picked off again. This time by Diabate. All the way down to the 13-yard line. Gators with a turnover. Just as we were alluding to, Chris.
You timed it perfectly with that clarification from last week. The interception. This is just a great individual play. Look at Diabate to your right. They got exactly what they want. Josh Utley runs the jerk route. He's wide open at the first down line to game, but Diabate reads the eyes of the quarterback tremendously well, goes up and gets the football. This is a guy that's a tremendous athlete. Came in last year, got a chance to play a little bit, acclimating this year to playing a little more inside linebacker than what we've seen him do before. He'll move outside in 3rd down situations, but his athleticism was something that Todd Grantham had to make sure they got on the field.
Yeah. He's one of the great feel-good stories defensively of this season for Grantham's defense, and a flag thrown on the field. Back to Mahmoud Diabate.
There is no foul on the play for illegal substitution. There were only 11 players on the field.
You know where he's from, right? Auburn High School. You don't think that those Auburn guys would be wishing he was out there playing today in the Iron Bowl.
Had to slip through. 1st down and 10. From the 12-yard line. Pitts out to the top of your screen. He's already got a couple of touchdown receptions today. They run the receiver screen. And a good tackle made on Grimes, limiting that gain to a few yards. It'll be 2nd down. Weaver making the stop that play. He's been in on a bunch of plays defensively for Kentucky. J.J. Weaver getting the start. 6'5" freshman from Louisville, Kentucky.
And Mark, the script has been flipped here. In the first half, it was Kentucky dominating time of possession. So far here in the 3rd quarter, Florida's had the ball for almost 7 minutes.
On 2nd and 8, Trask goes through his progression and is brought down from behind. Good launch by Josh Paschal, so it's 3rd down coming up. J.J. Weaver made the final hit.
How about J.J. Weaver? I want to get a shot of his hands. He's got 6 fingers on one of his hands. They got to make special gloves for this guy. Really good athlete, though. We saw him earlier.
There used to be a baseball player for the Marlins that had that, too. 6 fingers, yeah, an extra.
You'd think maybe that would be a benefit for receivers, maybe. But
yeah.
Defensive lineman, I'm not sure.
He'd give you a high five with a little extra. He's a blessed football player. Making some big plays today. 3rd down and 5 coming up. He's coming off the edge, didn't get there. Touchdown Pitts. That's 3 for him today. That's how you make a comeback to the field. Kyle Pitts putting it on him today.
Quiet first half after the big touchdown early in the 1st quarter. But here in the 2nd half, he's been a big-time weapon, particularly down in the red zone. Look at him sell the inside route, get the defender Corker running. That's great agility for a guy that's 6'6", being able to put his foot in the ground and change directions like that.
Kyle Pitts with his 11th touchdown catch of the season. And this one's starting to get away a little bit from Kentucky. The lead is up to 3 touchdowns. It's 31-10 with 3:36 to go in the 3rd quarter. It was the turnover that started it, the interception, setting them up in good field position. And then Kyle Pitts continues to work that defense like a part-time job. Back after this. Football will be in Philly as Carson Wentz leads the Eagles team, playing host to Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and the rest of the NFC West leading Seahawks. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN Deportes, as well as the ESPN app. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and they are hyped here in Gainesville, Florida. Trying to move in on another SEC East Division title as we take time now for today's Aflac Trivia question. 7 of 14 SEC teams have Heisman winners. Which SEC teams have the most Heisman winners? Which SEC teams have the most? Alabama?
Alabama didn't have one until Ingram got it, right? So they've had 2, so they're behind at least Florida. We talked about Florida's 3 earlier, but Auburn's had a couple.
We'll get you the answer in just a minute. Little receiver screen into traffic, incomplete. Let's get back to our Aflac trivia question. Which SEC teams have the most Heisman winners? Okay, Auburn, Cam Newton.
Forgot about Bo Jackson.
Sullivan, yeah. I'm going to forget you said that part.
And I said Trent Richardson. I meant Derrick Henry as well earlier. But
right.
Here's the 3 Florida ones. How about the fact that Coach Spurrier won one and then coached another guy, Danny Werfel?
Not bad at all. And that's going to be Ali about 2 yards short of the first down. What about the fact that we talk about Trask sticking it out here at Florida? That works for some people. For some people it doesn't. Sometimes you transfer and you prosper as a result. I'm thinking about Cam Newton.
Sometimes you transfer and you don't prosper either. I mean, it's hit or miss these days. And to your point, Cam Newton found a ton of success with my guy, Gene Chizik in Auburn.
Right.
But I love the perseverance, the fact that he had faith. How powerful is faith? The ability to believe in something that's not seen or guaranteed. He stayed around and, more importantly, got that opportunity and took advantage of it.
Great point. This is his counterpart, nowhere close to picking up the first down. Wilson stuffed that impenetrable defensive front led by Houston and Slayton.
They become impenetrable because in the first half, Kentucky had a lot of success running the football against them. Now they've just, with no threat of the run, the throw down the field, you can crowd the line of scrimmage, you can put numbers in the box. Obviously, 3rd and short, they're thinking run anyway. But Kentucky have forced a punt here. They've got to get a stop. They've got to get a turnover. More importantly, that was something Coach Stoops talked about. He wanted 3 turnovers today. They got one that led to a short field scoring opportunity, but haven't had another since.
On 4th and 1, Max Duffy. There's a flag down. The ball out of bounds right around the 20-yard line. Let's see what this flag is about. We've seen a bunch of them here in the 3rd quarter. .154 to go in the period. Still waiting.
Illegal motion, number 22 on the offense. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. First down, Florida.
Well, you might want to order some of those Kyle to Kyle T-shirts.
Saved by the Bell ones?
Yeah.
Big play early on, 58-yard touchdown to get the scoring started for Florida. And then down here in the red zone, what a weapon he is. Got pass interfered with the play before in one-on-one, so this time he runs the slant. Then they come back to where he sells the slant and breaks back out. It's impossible to cover a guy with that sort of size, athleticism, and agility.
Look at those 80s jeans. Huh? He's wearing the 80s jeans with the belt.
Those are sweet, aren't they? You had some. Don't act like you didn't have any, Joe. Come on.
Only for Halloween parties now. First down and 10 for the Gators. Coming back the other way. Trask steps up, taking a shot downtown and overshoots his receiver. Let's go down to Quint.
Good to see Kyle Pitts back in uniform today. You guys mentioned it earlier. He got hurt on November 7th against Georgia. Just a vicious and scary collision. Head injury, and then he needed some ensuing surgery on his nose. But back in the lineup today. And from field level, Chris, what really separates him from other tight ends I've seen this year is his ability to play attached as an H in the slot or even as a wideout. He truly is a positionless offensive player.
Yeah, exactly, Quint. It's what the NFL's looking for these days, right? A guy that has that much versatility and athleticism combined with the size. There's a fumble they needed.
Ball's on the ground. Kentucky pouncing on the loose ball. Davis gets it back, and the Wildcats trying to stay alive.
Then they shoot themselves in the foot with a stupid penalty right there. You're in great field position, and you set yourself back.
Let's see who this is going to be on. There was action after the
two-hand shove right into the chest of the quarterback.
And Tony's hot about something too. Well, if Kentucky can get a score here before the end of the quarter.
Totally different ball game,
Yeah.
right?
Remember, the last three meetings have been in question in the final quarter of play. Here's the call.
The result of the play was a fumble recovered by Kentucky. After the play was over, personal foul, number 1 on Kentucky. 15-yard penalty, first down, Kentucky.
It's going to be against Kelvin Joseph.
These are the plays that you don't typically see from Kentucky teams that are coached by Mark Stoops. Really do a good job of being disciplined well after the play and really unnecessary. Right in front of the official, it's an easy call.
He went after the wrong dude. You don't want to try and tune up the other team's quarterback.
You definitely don't want that.
And there's a look at the fumble.
Naquan Wright hold the ball a little loosely as he's going up into the line of scrimmage there. Florida has had some issues with their running backs fumbling dating back to the A&M loss. Had a fumble by Malik Davis that ultimately gave possession to the Aggies and allowed them to win the football game on a short field situation.
Yeah, their only blemish, as you mentioned, first down and 10. Wilson fires complete at the 35-yard line to Ali. Brought down immediately by Houston.
And we talked about Stoops' desire to create turnovers. He wanted 3. So far, we're almost 3/4 of the way through. They've got the 2 turnovers that they wanted. Heading into the year, they've been really good at taking the football away. Heading into this game, 13 turnovers on the year, which has them at 2nd in the SEC leading into this football game.
Rose in the backfield on 2nd down and 7. Rose gets the handoff and plows his way inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line. Sets up a 3rd down and about 2 to go. What do you like if you're Kentucky here? Pretty much same formula?
Same thing. Get the football in Terry Wilson's hands, whether it's little read option stuff in the backfield, whether it's getting him on the edge, allow him to put pressure on that defense. He's a tremendous talent with the football in his hands when he's running it. Not as adept throwing the football, but really a guy that's difficult to bring down. They've got to be able to convert 3rd downs here. They're 0 for 3 in the 3rd quarter so far. Extending drives, particularly in this part of the field, is of utmost urgency.
3rd and 1, and he's going to hand it off, and nowhere to go for A.J. Rose. He's going to lose a couple of yards.
You mentioned it, not only the stop, but the negative yardage now on 4th down. I don't believe you have the ability to kick the field goal here, but they'll have some time to talk about it as they head to the 4th quarter.
Mark Stoops' team definitely showed up today, despite missing 16 players. Down by 21 points and facing some question marks with 15 minutes to go. Right now, a long shot from duplicating that upset of a couple of years ago. But this is 2020, folks. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone, to ESPN College Football, presented by Geico. As we continue Dr. Pepper's Championship Drive, game of the week, the SEC on ESPN. 31-10 to start the 4th quarter. And Kentucky with the football looking at 4th down and 3 from the 30. Upshaw, the inside receiver on that trip set. They set up the screen, Good catch by Rose, but he's going to be about 2 yards short of the first down. The Gators taking over on downs.
Jonesy, I love the play design here. They get the running back out into space, but how about Cox with the pressure coming free, forces the quarterback to throw the football a little bit errantly. A.J. Rose has to adjust his course to come back to catch the football, losing a little momentum. And nice job by Marco Wilson coming up, making the stop short of the line to gain.
So first down and 10 for the Gators.
And the storyline, Jonesy, has been these self-inflicted wounds here in the third quarter. Kentucky, they've only gained 18 yards of offense and yet have had 78 yards of penalties. Just not a talented enough team to be able to overcome those self-inflicted wounds.
Trask hands it off to Pierce, and Pierce in the open field, still on his feet. Trying to turn it upfield now and out all the way to the 35 of Kentucky. Dameon Pierce.
We've seen Dameon Pierce be a weapon in the fake punt early in the game. We've seen him as a receiver this time, doing it the traditional way for a running back, getting vertical on the zone read, putting his foot in the ground, and then exploding there for the big gain.
He was averaging almost 5 yards a carry coming into the game today and picks up 38 on that run. First down and 10 from the 34. Here he is again, and this time stopped up for a gain of about 4.
DeAndre Square making that play from the backside. We haven't talked a lot about him today, but DeAndre Square and Jamin Davis, two of their best players on defense. They haven't had these guys on the field together the last couple of weeks. DeAndre Square went down with the injury against Georgia last week. Jamin Davis had the false positive test on Friday, so definitely have missed those two guys in the lineup together.
Second down and 6. The Gators trying to put away that SEC East Division title and enhance perhaps their SEC championship ambitions and maybe a chance to reach the college football playoff. What do you think about this in terms of the Gators at 12%? That's unusually low.
I don't think it takes into consideration the opportunity that exists for Florida to win the next couple ball games. You go to Atlanta, play against Alabama in the SEC championship game. You win the SEC as a one-loss team, you're getting in. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the predictor says. Not to go against what the sponsored element is, but no way you're telling me that Florida doesn't get in. And I guess that takes into consideration the task of beating Alabama, just how complete they are right now. But I would say that they have a better opportunity than Texas A&M, the one team that beat them this year.
Great point. And I was, Cincinnati was 4th in terms of the percentage chance of getting into the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I really like what the Bearcats have done this year. Luke Fickell has a great team, pretty balanced and a multi-dimensional quarterback.
You think he's long for that job, or is there another one that's waiting for him?
Well, he turned down Michigan State last year. 4th down and 3. Evan McPherson from 45 yards out. And it's a game of inches. That one just about an inch or two right. So the lead remains 21 points for Dan Mullen's Gators. Hey, every Saturday morning, get set for all the college football games with SEC Nation, hosted by Laura Rutledge, Roman Harper, Tim Tebow, and Jordan Rogers. They'll have live reports from stadiums. Features all the game breakdowns. SEC Nation presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central on the SEC Network as well as the ESPN app. On first down and 10, that's Josh Wilson gaining about a yard on the play. Josh Ali, pardon me. Well, Florida, as has been the custom here this year in this theme of social justice, the T-shirts they wore this week were ones bearing the message of unity. And in wake of Thanksgiving, a lot of the players echoing the sentiments that they're thankful for the support of their brothers, their teammates, in coming together, being able to talk about issues like racism and police brutality and social justice.
There's not a better teacher for life than being in the locker room. You know, the team aspect, the fact that really it doesn't matter what somebody looks like or where they're from, just can they do their job, or are they a good teammate? And I think that's one of the things that I've benefited a lot from having played sports at a young age. And I think team sports do a great job for helping connecting different people. My roommate at Florida was Aubrey Hill, a guy from Carroll City, totally different background from me, but being able to talk about our life experiences when we traveled my freshman year just was a really great eye-opening experience.
Well said. I've always felt that if the world were one big locker room, we'd all be living a little more harmoniously. 3rd down and 9 coming up. Wilson back to pass and picked off at the 37-yard line by Sean Davis. And Davis returns it out to the 46 as Wilson overshoots his receiver.
Mark, it just looks so difficult for Kentucky's offense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Such a struggle to be able to get any sort of chunk plays.
Well, the Gators defense, which has been highly scrutinized and beleaguered, comes up with a nice play here in the turnover by Davis. Back after this.
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance.
University of Florida with tremendous coaching lineage. Plenty of luminaries. Urban Meyer, national championship. Steve Spurrier, 96, 2006, 2008. And Dan Mullen, his numbers stacking up right amongst those after 34 games, especially as we go back to the studio.
All right, guys, thank you. Time now for your AT&T countdown to the CFP update. Spencer Sanders and Oklahoma State have found their rhythm. Tylan Wallace, watch the grab. That was the 4th touchdown in 14 plays for Oklahoma State, who's trying to stay in the hunt for a spot in the Big 12 title.
All right, back here, 2nd down and 8. Trask is going to use his legs. Makes a nice cut and picks up the 1st down. And Dan Mullen successful hanging his hat on his talented quarterback. The senior has Mullen 27-6 to start his career.
And Mark, this is exactly what Scott Strickland, the athletic director, wanted, right? A guy that understood the culture, had been here as an assistant under Urban Meyer, would bring back not only the winning tradition of Florida, but bring it back with an offensive flair, scoring points and coaching quarterbacks the way he's done with Kyle Trask this year.
And Trask to Pitts with the back shoulder fade, complete at the 22-yard line.
Can't cover it.
Yeah.
How are you going to cover it?
Unguardable. J.J. Weaver trying to defend, helpless.
And Trask does a nice job of throwing it away from the defender. You talked about Weaver being in one-on-one coverage. Well, he throws it to the sideline away from Weaver, so the only guy that can catch the football is Kyle Pitts. Great job of going up and getting the football with the long arms that he has at 6'6".
And you saw Weaver come up limping there with his right leg. And now he's being tended to by the athletic training staff of the Wildcats. Back with more on the other side. Well, tonight, catch the next UFC Fight Night from Las Vegas. Anthony Smith taking on Devin Clark. The light heavyweight main event. The prelims start at 7 Eastern on ESPN Plus with the main card at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN Deportes, as well as ESPN Plus in both English and Spanish. Get ESPN Plus, go to ESPNplus.com or download the ESPN app. And here's a look at our AT&T 5G Skycam fans. Don't forget to check out the AT&T 5G Skycast streaming on ESPN3 and on the ESPN app. That pass incomplete, intended for Damian Pierce. It'll be 2nd down and 10, under 10 minutes to go. Mark Jones chopping it up with Chris Doring. Quentin Kesnick down on the field.
Jones, do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito. I lived in Miami for 30 years,
true.
so a little bit.
You rolled the tongue nicely on the Deportes. I can't pull it off like you.
I can order my, I can go into the cafe and give it a little, tiene usted un pastelito? And get some cafecito. and I'm good for the day. Got a new quarterback in the ball game, Emory Jones for the Gators. 6'2" sophomore from Georgia. Gonna keep it here. Picks up a yard on the place. Jamin Davis making the stop.
Kentucky's defense has done a nice job here, especially in the second half. Florida's had some scoring opportunities. They've had some big plays, but they've limited Florida, forcing some field goals. One they made, one that banged off the upright. They've been on the field a lot here in the second half, and you got to imagine if a little warmer weather than they're used to up in Lexington this time of year, you see some cramping. How long can they continue to hold up the way they have here throughout the third and early fourth quarters?
Kyle Trask back in. Little bunch formation at the bottom of your screen. Trask hands it off to Pierce, who almost got decapitated by Hoskins. Boy, Phil Hoskins came in high.
Yeah, he's a 315-pound defensive tackle. This is a guy that had an interception against Georgia. Little screen pass Stetson Bennett tried to throw, went up, knocked it up to himself and caught it. So he may be a big guy in the middle of that defense, but he's got some athleticism. That time making a great play of penetrating, forcing Florida again to settle for a field goal in this part of the field.
Defensive coordinator Brad White telling me that Hoskins was a guy that he looked towards making plays in that zone play that Florida likes to run. Field goal attempt from 40 yards out by Evan McPherson. After hitting the right upright last time, this one straight through to make it a 34-10 football game. The Gators rolling when we come back to Gainesville.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Welcome back, everyone, to Gainesville, Florida. Mark Jones alongside Chris Doring in for Dusty Dvorak and Quinn Kesnick down on the sidelines. 8:18 to go in the fourth quarter. Florida eyeballing an SEC East Division title and a potential date in the championship game. Alabama-Auburn, a big one coming up at 3:30 in just a little bit. Now let's take a look at the more driven moment brought to you by Goodyear. This was earlier this year in the Gators' lone loss, the fumble by Malik Davis leading to this field goal, a game-winning field goal by the Aggies, and really a signature win for Jimbo Fisher, and a disappointing look etched across the countenance of Kyle Trask.
Especially disappointing for Florida's offense. They only were stopped once prior to that. One punt on the day for Florida, and they put the ball on the ground at the most inopportune time. Right at midfield, short field opportunity for A&M just to run the ball and kick the field goal with no time remaining.
Joey Gatewood in at quarterback, the Auburn transfer. Hands it off to Cavassier Smoke. There's a look at Gatewood out of Jacksonville, Florida. Here's a look at the top 10. Alabama number 1. They play Auburn a little bit later today at 3:30 Eastern time. Clemson taking on Pittsburgh.
How about Northwestern? We haven't talked enough about Northwestern and what Pat Fitzgerald's been able to do there this year. It's been a great story watching those folks be able to remain undefeated at this point in the season.
They got a great facility up there.
How about, have you been?
Evanston. Yeah, I've seen. You know what they call it, right?
No.
They call it the Fitz-Carlton.
Oh, yeah? I like that.
It's slick, man. It is tricked out with a whole bunch of great technology. And
that to me shows the commitment that we should see from a school like Vanderbilt. You know, Stanford's able to balance athletics and academics. Duke does some of the same. You've seen the money they've invested in the athletic program there at Northwestern, and it certainly has paid dividends.
7:10 to go. And Gatewood going to take off. 7:03 to go. You know, you talked about balancing, and you played collegiately, balancing academics and athletics. I had a teammate. He had a report card, had 3 C's and a D. You know what the coach said?
What's that?
Looks like you're spending too much time on one class. Oh, sorry, man.
A little different academic experience.
I've been sitting on that one for a while.
That's good. I like it. Empty the barrels at this point.
2nd down and 5. Handoff and a nice move through the hole by McClain. Tom McClain, that's the guy we've been looking to see touch the ball. Quint, down to you.
Mark, you mentioned Northwestern. That facility alongside the lake is like a UFO spaceship, just gleaming with all sorts of non-revenues, football, sports science stuff, state of the art. Just an amazing facility, one of the best in the country by far.
We'd be remiss not to talk about Kentucky's facility as well. I mean, they've done a nice job of upgrading their football facilities there, one of the best in the SEC as well as the country.
Mark Stoops has it going there. Back to pass is Gatewood. Dropped one in there, and it's incomplete and intercepted. Intercepted. What a play by Johnson. He wrestled it away from the receiver on the play. Drennan, look at this.
Johnson did a nice job of getting his eyes around at the last second, saw the receiver reacting to the ball in the air, turned his head, was in good coverage, didn't panic, found the football, and as you said, the ball was dropped in by Gatewood. Unfortunately, the wrong color jersey was the recipient of that one.
There's one more look at it. I wonder if they're going to see if this ball didn't hit the ground. Oh no, he had his hand underneath it. That was clean.
Very clean. Nice interception there by Johnson to take the football away. Just frustrating. Again, I know it's frustrating for Kentucky fans, but the inability to throw the football down the field in a league where a lot of teams are able to have success moving the football at will with the passing game, Kentucky has just struggled so bad this season to get anything going downfield.
Going to run it on 1st down and 10. That's Davis. And you know what? We do have to give a little bit of context here. If you're just joining us, 34-10, Kentucky on the way to perhaps 3-6 on the season. They're without 16 players. They were missing 16 players last week as well because of COVID. Several staff members as well. And this game could have easily perhaps not been played, but Coach Stoops, with the safety of his players and his program a priority, still saw it fit that they could continue and play this game. They're going to run it in a 1st down run by Jones as we go back to the studio.
All right, guys, apparently Oklahoma State was taking a tryptophan nap earlier in the day because the offense has woken up to the tune of Spencer.
All right, 1st down and 10 after that nice run by Emory Jones. Backup quarterback in for Kyle Trask. Trask with another ho-hum 3-touchdown passing game.
Isn't that funny you mentioned a ho-hum stat line? Last week it was the same thing, 383 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and yet we're complaining because he didn't throw for 400 yards or we didn't see 4 touchdowns thrown. The bar has just been set so high by he and this offense this year that a performance like this, 21 of 27, 256 yards and 3 touchdowns, looks average.
Yeah, I will say that as we look at Trask, there are some Florida fans that if he threw for 500 yards, you know, they'd still have an issue. If he walked on water, they'd say, oh, he can't swim. Look at that. They run it again. That's Davis picking up about 4 on the play. Davis, the junior from Tampa, Florida. Under 4 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter.
Speaking even more about the success of Kyle Trask today, didn't throw 2 incompletions in a row the entire day. Just incredibly efficient, and we talked about the accuracy earlier. It's uncanny how well he throws the football to the right guy in the right spot to allow his guy to make a play.
That's a guy that Trask almost had his degree as a redshirt junior before he actually saw any action on the field here at Florida. How's that for context? They run it and pick up about 3 yards. Davis again. Time to take a look at today's hardest working player, brought to you by Duluth Trading Company. Special teams, a big prevailing storyline early. The fake punt on the first series offensively for Florida, and then the coffin corner out of bounds at the 1 yard line, and then the punt return. by Kadarius Toney.
On a day when the offense was maybe not explosive as we've seen it be before for Florida, the special teams played a big role in it. The willingness to call the fake punt at your own 25-yard line.
Boy, an authoritative throw by Jones, complete to Rick Wells. Man, he stood tall in the pocket that time.
Yeah, Jones, a lot of people are excited about what Emory Jones brings to this offense. Maybe a little more traditional Dan Mullen type quarterback that can put more pressure on the defense running the football. Came in last year after Trask got hurt against Auburn, moved the chains well, got Florida in position to score. He's been a nice change of pace in the red zone. Now he's getting an opportunity here today to play a little bit more extended time in the field.
Just a sophomore, 6'2", out of LaGrange, Georgia. Gamble in motion. Little receiver screen complete. Pick up a couple of yards. That's Shorter, Justin Shorter. Kyle Pitts not in the ball game. So I guess that fire that Dan Mullen lit under Kyle Pitts got him going today, huh? Saying he'd have the battle for playing time.
Yeah, he had a quiet first half, even though he had one catch for 58 yards and a touchdown early. Has been targeted much more here in the second half, and again, it's an embarrassment of riches. You know, it is just a crazy thing, this roster, how much talent's been accumulated that surrounds Kyle Trask.
2nd down and 7. Gators with their eyes on an appearance in the SEC championship game. They're going to lose a couple of yards. Malik Davis.
I know I talked about it before, Jonesy, but the saltiness of Kentucky's defense down in this part of the field, that it reflects the overall mindset of this team. They fought despite the adversity, despite Chris Oates' medical issue in the offseason, despite John Schlarman's passing away a couple weeks ago, despite the COVID issues last week and this week. They just keep showing up, keep playing with a lot of heart. I tip my cap to Kentucky. I tip my cap to Coach Stoops for creating that culture there.
He was hired 8 years ago yesterday, and only Bear Bryant has won more games at Kentucky. That pass complete down to the 2-yard line to Shorter again, setting up a 1st down and goal. And tonight, LSU freshman quarterback T.J. Finley leading the Tigers into College Station, taking on Kellen Mond and the Aggies, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 Pacific. Also available on the ESPN app. Who do you like in that game tonight?
I like Texas A&M. I know that Alabama is the most complete team in the country, but Texas A&M's not far from that. They've developed really well defensively. They're the #1 team in total defense in the SEC, and that's after playing Florida and Alabama's offenses. So I really like what Jimbo Fisher's been able to do with that team, who seems like they're hitting their stride.
They're going to hand it off on 1st and goal, and that in all likelihood will be the last play of the football game. Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts team up again for a victory. 34-10 this one against an undermanned, overmatched Kentucky squad that fought hard. Don't forget, coming up next, College Football Scoreboard. The crew with all the scores and highlights for you. For Chris Doring, Quint Kesnick, and Rogers Redding, I'm Mark Jones saying so long, everybody, from Gainesville, Florida.
ESPN thanks you for watching this presentation of the Southeastern Conference.
Hey, coming up, bottom of the